here, a little late, 5 minutes late, but I'm here. Appreciate everybody in here joining me. Shout out to y'all, man. If you could do me a favor, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you could do me a favor, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm here just about every day. Now, I just went through a bit of a move, so I'm still trying to figure out new timing and stuff like that for the broadcast, but I'll still try to upload just about every day. But we're here. You see the topic, you see the title, RFK failed the reparations litmus test. So if you've been following this channel, you know that I've been pushing the reparations line. I've been pushing the support for Cornel West. And RFK has been a good alternative as far as the Democratic Party goes. Now, Cornel West is running third party. I think that we need to support third party candidates because both the Republicans and the Democrats have sold out the American people. That's the topic for another day. But as far as the Democratic options, what we have, it looks like Donald Trump, despite these multiple indictments, is the forerunner for the Republican Party. It's looking likely that even from a prison cell, that man would be able to win the Republican nominee. I mean, Ron DeSantis is his main competition, and Ron DeSantis in the general election will get slaughtered. So for the Republicans, it's looking like Trump or bust this year, or this next election, 2024. That's leaving the Democrats with who? Joe Biden as the incumbent president. But Joe Biden has one foot in the grave. I mean, he's senile. His approval rating is low. He's failed on just about every promise that he's made. You know, nobody's really excited to vote for Joe Biden. Black folks, especially black men, are checking out altogether, saying, hey, I'm going to sit this election out, if not for Cornel West. Now, Cornel West is going to get a significant portion of the black votes because, one, he's black, two, he has a respectable track record, and three, we need to support third parties. So Cornel West is looking like, if you want to vote your conscience, you got to go with Cornel West. But if you're beholden, if you still trust the Democratic Party and you don't want to vote for someone who looks like they could, you know, be on the way out in the next 3 years or so, RFK is looking like a viable candidate. But for black folks right now, we're pushing this reparations line. And like I said in the previous video, the reparations is the litmus test. Before now, there was really no black agenda. Black folks would just vote for Democrats every 4 years and get nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing for our vote. We weren't asking for anything. Think about when Obama ran. Obama ran, he didn't promise anything to black folks. He just knew, oh, I'm black, I'm going to get the black vote. No problem. Obama won, but ever since then, ever since we realized, okay, well, we came out in droves. 98% of black folks voting for Obama, and what do we have to show for it? Under Obama, we see Trayvon Martin getting killed. We see black folks getting slaughtered in the streets. We see Dr. Claude Anderson trying to sue for reparations, and President Obama blocked him, did not allow him to sue for reparations. And this is a black president. The first black president is blocking a black man from suing for reparations. It's one thing to not help, but it's another thing to actively deny and actively prevent forward progress on the reparations move. So ever since then, black folks are like, okay, look, we want tangibles. We want tangibles. We want something physical. We want money. We want some tangible. Some Asians got to stop Asian hate bill. We want a crime bill. We want a crime bill. We want reparations. We want something tangible for us specifically. In the entire history of the United States, we cannot think of one legislation, one bill that has specifically and solely went to benefit black Americans, foundational black Americans. Nothing. So now black folks are getting, especially foundational black Americans, are getting on code. We're saying, listen, we want something tangible, we want something specific, and we want something targeted to our community in particular. We've had enough of supporting these lift-all programs. we've got the Congressional Black Caucus over here supporting illegal immigrants and immigration, doing all this for the folks at the border and not doing anything for us. Perfect example is what's going on in Chicago. You see black folks, black Democratic Party, instead of dealing with the homelessness and the poverty and the crime in Chicago for the United States citizens living there, they're giving $50 million per month to illegal immigrants. Where did all this money come from? When we ask for something, oh, where's the money going to come from? Who's going to pay for that? But then when all these other groups come, we're supposed to just give our money to Ukraine, give our money to immigrants, while we get nothing. So we've had enough. We've had enough. We're saying, listen, we want reparations. We want tangibles. We're no longer going to this political party with no type of demands, with no agenda. Now we have a specific black agenda, and if you're not with it, well, we're going to have to leave you behind, right? Now RFK, as I said before, he had our eye. He was like, okay, well, RFK is an alternative to Joe Biden. He's younger, he's physically fit, he has the Kennedy name. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see if he has something good to say. He's against the mandates, the jab mandates, right? So that's cool. He seems more reasonable and more present mentally than Joe Biden. So let's see what he has to say. Now, to his credit, RFK has been going around to a lot of grassroots media, a lot of people on YouTube. He's been on the Jimmy Dore show. He's been on the Math Hoffa. If you see the thumbnail to this video, that's a picture where he was on a podcast with Math Hoffa. I encourage y'all to go check out that podcast. That was salute to Math Hoffa. He did a very good job on that podcast, on that interviewing RFK. That was a really good video. But now that RFK is making these runs on the grassroots media, the YouTube streets, we're able to get a better feel for his policies, his platforms, and his perspectives on what's going on in the world right now. He's saying some good things, he's saying some bad things, but one thing that we know is that black folks right now are standing on reparations as the litmus test. If you are not supporting reparations, hey man, you're not supporting us, you're not in accordance with our agenda. I would give this advice to RFK. If you don't want to support it strongly, all you got to say is, listen, it's something that we need to study further. We have the RH40. I encourage the possibility and keep it vague. That's the least you can do. But when you're straight up saying, oh no, I'm reparations for black folks? No, we can't give them a check? No. Okay, well, when you make it very clear that you're not going to give us what we want, then what motivation do we have to give you our votes? What motivation do we have to support you? Keeping this in mind, think about the last politician who said, oh no, I'm not going to give you reparations, give you a check, give you something that you're specifically asking for, give you tangibles? Oh no. You remember the last person who said that? You remember what happened to them? You know where I'm going with this. Check this out. Uh-oh. Stand with me. We're going to get into that too. Check out Kamala Harris. Y'all remember Kamala Harris?
You support reparations for black people.
Well, listen. Again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists.
Listen, we don't need all this filibustering. It was a very clear question. Do you support reparations for foundational black Americans? Oh, well, there's segregation. Oh, it was so horrible. There was discrimination. It's a yes or no question, lady. What does she have to say?
And is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody...
I'm sorry, but look at the interviewer's face. She is not buying this. She's not buying it. I'm not buying it. You see, she's not buying it. We're not buying this, okay? We're not buying it. Give us a yes or no, lady.
Did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
No.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
No. She's made it clear the answer is no. She's made it clear. No, the answer is no. I'm not going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. And you know how black people respond to that? Okay, the answer is no to us. Well, Kamala Harris, you failed the litmus test. After that, she had to drop out of the presidential race. Now, yeah, she was given the second place, the silver medal of vice president, but nobody voted for vice president. Nobody voted for Kamala Harris. And now they're trying to credentialize her, but they know Kamala Harris has the lowest approval rating, even lower than Joe Biden. I wish they would put Kamala Harris out there to run for president. She would get demolished of course she would get demolished by Trump. But I would go so far as to say Ron DeSantis could beat Kamala Harris at this point. There is a litmus test that has been established in black politics. Either you're for reparations or you're not. By the way, guys, if you're watching this video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to keep this topic going. We got a lot to talk about today. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate everyone in here. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. With that being said, we see what happened to Kamala Harris. She said, no, I'm not doing something to black people. No. Got it. Kamala, check. Now RFK, we're trying to give him a chance. We want to see what he's saying. We want to see what he's talking about. He's going a new route. He's staying away from legacy media. We haven't seen him as much on those major platforms like CNN and Fox News. Instead, he's making a lot of rounds in the YouTube space, in the social media atmosphere, these podcasts. Like I said before, he's been on Jimmy Dore. He's been on Math Hoffa. Math Hoffa is a black platform. That's a black platform. So he's coming to the black folks like, yo, I'm here too. I'm in New York, right? Problem is, and that was a really good interview. Problem is, he failed the question. And really, that's on him and the people who prepared him. His advisor should have told him, listen, you're going to a black platform. You know what question they're going to ask you. It does everything you say. All right, they can pimp past the fact that you got 7 kids. They can pimp past the fact that you have been to prison. They can pimp past the fact that you got a criminal record. We black folks, listen, we can forgive all that. We're not tripping on none of that. Our concern is, how do you feel about reparations? How do you feel about that? And his thing is, oh, well, we can't give black folks a check. And what about you know what got me? was when he brought up the Native Americans. Listen, I don't know who told him that this is a talking point, but this talking point is getting addressed and it's getting dissected. This talking point cannot stand where they say, oh, well, if we're going to give reparations, we got to start with the Native Americans. Listen, man, Native Americans have been getting reparations. They already got reparations. First of all, Native Americans, a lot of these tribes, like the Cherokees, they own slaves. That's number one, which means the Native Americans owe us too. Second of all, these Native Americans, a lot of these Native American tribes had black folks in them, and they kicked the black folks out of the tribe. So Native Americans and black Americans, although black Americans do, a lot of us, myself included, do have Native American blood. I'm Sioux, if you go back far enough. We got Sioux in my blood. So we do have Native Americans in our blood, in our families. But a lot of these tribes have not been good to foundational black Americans. So these politicians coming out saying, oh, well, we can't give black folks reparations until we deal with the Native Americans. Native Americans have reservations. Those are land grants. They can do whatever they want on their reservations. They can grow farms. They can go farming, grow their food. They can have their casinos tax-free. So they have an industry that they control, that they can profit from, the entire tribe, that does not get taxed from the United States. They can, not only do they get tax benefits, not only do they get college benefits as far as college acceptance, not only do they get, and mind you, they just ended affirmative action as far as college admissions go, but that doesn't affect the Native American tribes because Native American tribes are classified as a nationality and not as a race. So they still get benefits when applying to colleges. So, as I'm saying, Native Americans have land grants, reservations. Reservations have tax benefits. They have an industry that was specific to them, given specifically to them, where they're not taxed the same as everyone else. So they're able to benefit and outcompete and monopolize on the gambling industry. Native Americans have received reparations. Not only that, but one of the main arguments against reparations is, oh, well, it was so long ago. No black Americans alive today suffer from slavery because there were no slaves no black Americans today were slaves. Okay, well, why don't we apply that same logic to the Native Americans? Why don't we say, oh, well, there was no trail of tears for any Native Americans today? No Native Americans today went through the Trail of Tears. No Native American today had their land taken from them. So why is it that when that logic applies to foundational black Americans but not to the Native Americans? These politicians trying to bring up and hide behind the Native Americans, that's not going to work anymore. I'm sorry. That's just not going to work anymore. It's not going to work. And I'm telling you, these folks are getting scared when it comes to that reparations tip. People are getting scared. That's going to bring me into this next. It's not a clip, but it's actual legislation that the Republicans are trying to introduce. Y'all go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Y'all check this out. Where are we? There we go. This is legislation here today from Brian Babin, HR 4321. This was introduced this year in 2023. The 118th Congress, first session. This is legislation Republican Brian Babin has introduced to prohibit the United States government from providing bailouts or other financial assistance to any state or local government that enacts any law providing reparations for slavery and for other purposes. Do you see this? This is legislation currently in the House of Representatives. Currently, today, June 23rd, 2023. This is legislation in the House of Representatives today with 13 Republican backers, introduced by Mr. Brian Babin. Do you see the fear first of all, short title, this act may be cited as no bailouts for reparations. They are specifically introducing reparations to prevent and to block reparations from coming through. Now tell me you're scared without telling me you're scared. Tell me you're scared without telling me you're scared. First they laughed at us. Oh, they're talking about reparations. It'll never happen. First they laughed at us. Then we started getting some momentum. There's presidential candidates, Marianne Williamson, talking about reparations on a presidential debate stage. People aren't laughing so much anymore. California starts to put forth an entire plan of exactly numbers, exactly how much money black folks deserve and for what reasons. People aren't laughing so much anymore. Now, they're starting to get scared. Now they're trying to act like, hey, we need to get in front of this. Matter of fact, let's pass a bill that if these black folks get their reparations like they're asking for, then the federal government cannot help that state anymore. Now, it's not like they're saying, oh, reparations is going to bankrupt that state. No, that's not even the argument they're making. You see how insidious these folks are? What they do is they say, oh, if you pass reparations, your state or any local government, which means your city, I think there's some cities, some local governments like DC has introduced something. I think North Carolina has introduced something. Not the whole state, but some city. DC is not a state, of course. So DC or local government, so that will cover DC. And I think there's some cities it was either Delaware or North Carolina. I got to confirm that. But there's a few states, a few local governments who are also looking at reparations. And this legislation that they're introducing, which of course will not pass, which of course it won't pass. Come on now. Is discriminatory. The reparations itself, I mean, the bill itself is discriminatory. How can you say reparations for slavery will bar the federal government from assisting the state government, but reparations for anything else is okay? What? So of course that legislation is not going to pass, but it's just going to show you that they're scared. They see the momentum. They see the direction that this conversation is going in. So they're trying to get out in front of it with this legislation because they see the momentum. They see the momentum. Black folks have identified, listen, this is something that we all can get behind. And I'm going to have to make another separate video, if I don't talk about it too much today, about the fact that all hands on deck for this topic. This whole infighting as far as the tethers, the Africans and Caribbeans, oh, some black folks don't qualify. Listen, whether you qualify for it or not, if you're black, we need all hands on deck, man. Black Americans have done a lot to bring Caribbean folks into the United States, have done a lot to bring Africans into the United States, have done a lot to support your businesses, to support the whole Pan-African movement. Black Americans have been the foundation, not only of America, but of the Pan-African movement. We supported Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey left Jamaica and came to the U.S. to get his clout. We supported Marcus Garvey. We supported Bob Marley. We supported everybody. We went over to Ethiopia and helped them fight against the Italians. We were going over there against the will of our own country. The United States did not want black Americans going to Ethiopia. We went over to Ethiopia and helped the Emperor Haile Selassie. We've been helping everybody. Now we got some momentum. We've identified something we want. Whether you qualify for it or not, we need all hands on deck for this topic, man. For real. For real. If ever there's a time that we need all hands on deck, now's the time. But you see they're getting scared, back on topic. You see they're getting scared. They're trying to introduce this legislation. And that's the point I was going to make. You see how insidious they do. They say that if you pass reparations, let's say California was to pass the reparations bill, right? Let's say California gets hit by an earthquake. Now California needs assistance, right? California needs assistance not because the state went bankrupt from reparations, but because the state is being hit by natural disasters, climate change. But you, California, if you pass that reparations for these, if you pass that reparations, It's over for you. This is what they're trying to do. Let me show you that one more time. Let me show you this bill one more time. To prohibit the United States government from providing bailouts, or not only bailouts, or other financial assistance. I'm looking at you, FEMA. FEMA is a federal program. FEMA gives financial assistance whenever there's a natural disaster. So if your state or local government decides to give any type of reparations, that's not just a check. That's, if you give them housing grants, any form of reparations, let this Brian Babin guy tell it. You do anything for these black folks. You do anything for them. You disqualify yourself from any type of federal assistance, whether it be FEMA. God forbid your state gets hit by an earthquake, right? Tornado, hurricane. We see what's going on with climate change. It's pretty much inevitable that every state is going to, every state's going to go through it in the upcoming years to come, right? So they're trying to position it to where, if you pass those reparations for them niggas, it's over for you. Let them tell it. Let them tell it. Now, like I said before, this is not going to pass, right? It's not going to pass. There's no way possible. But regardless of the fact that it passes or not, here is what they're looking to do. My bad. I had to check the comments one time. Shout out to Michael Pan. What's up, brother? I see you rocking with me. He said, I prefer Cornel West and Jasmine reparations over RFK. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reparations over RFK. Reparations over all of them. And shout out to Cornel West. One thing I like about Cornel West, two things I like about Cornel West. Number one, he openly supports reparations. So that, like I was saying before, that whole, he's a black candidate. Listen, we had enough, just because he's black, he gets our vote. We learned our lesson with Obama over that. You being black, that's not enough. The litmus test, the only thing black folks care about at this point, and I'm speaking on behalf of all black folks. 8 and 11, I'm speaking to black folks on this one. We rocking with the reparations too. Some folks are older. They mind, they got to catch up. They're behind, We still love our old folks. We still love them too. But I'm speaking on behalf of the grassroots. I'm speaking on behalf of the grassroots. We rocking with Cornel West. Cornel West is openly supporting reparations, number one. Number two, he's rocking with a third party. And that's what I wanted to say too. We have to. It's a must. It's mandatory that we support third-party candidates. Because both the Republicans and the Democrats are bought. They're bought. They're totally controlled. It's fascism. It's outright fascism at this point. The definition of fascism is the link between corporations and government. That's fascism. And the corporations are controlling our government, whether it be Big Pharma. Big Pharma, don't get me started on Big Pharma. The healthcare system is in control, total control of the United States government. Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex, these are corporations. These are private corporations. Pfizer, for example. BlackRock, for example. These military and healthcare. These two industries alone, forget when you start talking about, entertainment, Hollywood, and these two corporations, military-industrial complex and healthcare industry. These two industries, not corporations, but these two industries alone have a chokehold on our government. And the only way we can break that is, one, to get money out of politics. The problem is, what politician is going to run for office, win, and then say, okay, all those people who donated money to me, you can no longer donate to me money in the future. It's against their own interest to allow that to happen. But here's the problem. Unless we get money out of politics, our country is doomed, man. I'm speaking seriously. Our country is doomed. There's no way back from it because the corporations at this point are bleeding the American people dry. You think this? You think we're supporting Ukraine because of the love in our heart for the Ukrainian people? They had a peace deal that we undermined. It was already signed, and we undermined the peace deal. We don't care about the Russian people. Those Russian people again, not Russian, Ukrainian people. Those Ukrainian people getting slaughtered. Civilians not even allowed to leave their own country. They're trying to get out. They're digging tunnels. They're digging tunnels trying to get up out of that country. They can't leave. They're getting slaughtered, man. They're getting slaughtered. And what do? When they got a deal for peace, we undermine it. Nah. Hey man, hey, go get them. Go get them. Nah. We're not having no peace in Ukraine. We need to bleed Russia. Bleeding Russia, we're bleeding ourselves. We're bleeding ourselves. That's what we're doing. Seriously, that's what we're doing. And all of that is just lining the pockets of these Raytheon. It's just lining the pockets of Raytheon, BlackRock, military industrial complex. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. Which just further tells me, listen, we only have two routes at this point. Number one, we got to get money out of politics. And if we can't do that, black folks need to get our reparations before this country goes down in flames. Because it's going down. It's going down. That's why I say it's now or never. One of the questions that people have been asking me when I had this conversation, like out on the streets, and I'm not only on YouTube. I talk this stuff I be talking on the internet. Ask anybody that I rock with in real life. I can start shouting folks out. Shout out Slow Burner. You feel me? I can start shouting out names. I'm not even gonna put my guys out there like that. But even outside of the internet, I be talking like this. I'll be in person with my guys, hanging out. I be talking about the same topics, hitting them up. Bro, did you see this? Bro, did you see this? Dog, let me show you this, bro. I be talking all these politics stuff, all these controversial topics with my guys. This is what we be talking about. Sitting back, cooling. Just like I talk to y'all, I be talking to them. We be talking about the same stuff. But when I get the feedback, we see, okay, this country we see is getting inflation. Have you seen the price of anything in these states? Because I move around a lot. I was just in Amsterdam last week. I was in China the week before that. I be moving around. So when I come back, I'm always surprised to see how prices have changed. When I was a kid, we used to have Arizona iced tea. We would be happy if you had $1 because it used to cost 99 cents for Arizona iced tea. Do you know today I went to the 7-Eleven to get a green tea. I like the Arizona green tea. I did one for like $1.57. $1.57. It used to be 99 cents. I'm thinking now that is more than a 50% markup. That is more than a 50% markup in a matter of months. Eggs, $4 for a dozen eggs. It's in DC. This is in DC. Man, I think it said, was it $4 or $5 for one of those small box of mushrooms? You know, I'm pescatarian, so all I've eaten is like fruits, vegetables, cheese, pizzas, stuff like that. So I'm looking at these mushrooms. $4 or $5 for some mushrooms? Really? These ones used to be $2.50, $3. Inflation is going to listen, man. I'm looking at these prices at the grocery store. I'm like, man, before you know it, people going to be just like people try to come to America to get a better way of life. People going to start leaving the country looking for a better way of life. I'm telling you. You think it's far-fetched. Okay. You think it's a joke if you want to. Let inflation keep going the way it's going. And then when AI hits the scene, do you see what's going on with this in Hollywood? You see there's a writer's strike. You know why they're striking against? Actors. We're not making no movies. Why? Because artificial intelligence is going to demolish all those jobs. Hollywood is going to get run through. California, you see people leaving California? You see people leaving California? Why is that? People leaving California, jobs, okay. Silicon Valley might survive because they're working in the tech industry. I work in tech too. I work in IT also. So okay, there's some jobs in tech. That's cool. But that Hollywood industry, you're done. How long did it take you? It took you 6 months, a year, 2 years to write that screenplay? When artificial intelligence can write this in hours? A whole movie? Shout out Michael. My boy Michael Pan, what's going on? It says, what would you ask Cornel West about balancing cash payments, reparations, and everybody else? What would you ask Cornel West about balancing cash payment reparations and everybody else? I don't know what everybody else has to do with. What would I ask him about balancing cash payments for reparations? I would ask him how to make it feasible. I would ask him how high a priority reparations would be. I would ask him how he could make it a feasible, what feasible paths does he have to making it a reality? My questions will be how to make it happen. Not if it should happen. It will be how. How can we make this happen? Does Cornel West saying this happen state by state, or does he see a path through executive order? What path, what role does he see as the president in implementing a reparations plan? That would be my question. As far as everybody else goes, I'm just being everybody else. Hey, listen. To be honest with you, though, I mean, I'm not a politician, so I'm just speaking from my heart. But at the same time, if I'm being realistic and if I'm being fair, reparations would benefit the entire country. That's the beautiful thing about foundational Black Americans. If you gave reparations to any other person, any other group, if you gave it to the Jamaicans, a lot of that money would be going back to Jamaica. If you gave it back to Africans, a lot of that money would be going back to Africa. I'm talking because I know this because I've lived abroad. I've lived in China. I've lived in Mozambique. I've lived in different countries, and I've made money while in these other countries. And when I was making money in these other countries, as soon as I got paid, the first thing I did was send the money back to the U.S. So I'm telling you what I know. A lot of these other groups, if they were to get reparations, the first thing they would do would be to send that money back to their own home countries. They have families back home. They have retirement plans. A lot of these people have retirement plans where I'm going to work here, but I'm going to retire back in my home country. A lot of these other groups, I'm talking mostly about immigrants, but of course, white people, they don't really qualify for reparations because the government hasn't done anything to harm their country, harm their demographic. But of the people who might have a quote unquote claim for reparations, like these immigrants or stuff like that, if they were to get reparations, a lot of that money would be used to benefit their home countries. Whereas foundational Black Americans, that's the beautiful thing about us. This is our home country. We have no other country to send our money back to. If we were to get reparations, we're spending that money here in the United States, which means that reparations money is not just going to stay with us, it's going to circulate. It's going to circulate. I would be, hey, Cornel West, what percentage of the reparations do you think should go as far as cash payments? And do you think that there should be, programs set up for ways for us to spend it? For example, okay, you get your reparations, which is a cash payment, but then you get incentivized to use your reparations money in the school system. You get incentivized to use your reparations on this land grant. Meaning if you were a recipient of the FBA reparations, then you get a tax write-off should you decide to buy land out here in... Now they can put the land anywhere because they don't want to give you the best land. Come on, it's the federal government. They're going to give you some land that nobody else wants. But let FBA get a hold on to it. We know how to take nothing and turn it into something. They threw us out there in the desert of Oklahoma. We turned it into Tulsa. We turned it into Black Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? They give us a little bit. We're going to turn it to a lot. And not only are we going to turn it to a lot, we're going to turn it to a lot here. We're not going to take that money and send it to another country. We're going to take that money and we're going to build something up here. You know, one of the fastest demographics of business owners, black women. You know what we're going to do as soon as we get our reparations? It's going to be businesses. It's going to be towns. It's going to be popping, and it's all going to be here. That's the main thing that I want to emphasize is reparations is meant to benefit foundational Black Americans primarily, of course, but credit is due. Kamala Harris is right. If we were to get when we get our reparations, it will benefit the entire country. And I would ask Cornel West, how can he carry that message to the greater society? And you know, Cornel West is a great orator. He's able to talk to everybody. Hey, you know, I love you, brother, and you know, with all due respect, I have great, profound respect for the greater da 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 da. So let Cornel West get a hold of this conversation. He's going to take it and run with it. I tell Cornel West, hey, how can you communicate to the broader society the fact that reparations for foundational Black Americans would benefit them as well? How can he communicate that message to let them know? Because just thinking about it for 5 minutes, rationally and logically, foundational Black Americans will build up America. We're not going nowhere. We're not taking our money and leaving like a lot of these other folks would do. If we give us reparations, we're going to make it pop right here. We're going to make it pop right here. That's a good question, Michael. I appreciate you rocking with me too, brother. I appreciate you rocking with me. But yeah, that's a good question. And I'm hoping Cornel West is able to, first of all, I'm hoping he's able to thrive in this presidential race. But more specifically, I think it's said that in the general elections, he has to have 15%. And I'm going to Google it while we're talking. I think it's been said that he has to have 15% of eligible voters supporting him in order to be eligible for the general election debates. And that's really what I want to see. I'm thinking Donald Trump, if he doesn't get arrested or imprisoned by the time of the elections, I'm thinking Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. I'm thinking Joe Biden will likely, RFK is going to get screwed. I don't know why he's running Democrat, but he's going to get screwed. There's no way that the Democrats, they've already got the Democratic primaries rigged. So Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. So that leaves Trump versus Biden again. But I want to see Cornel West on that debate stage. I want to see Cornel West. Can you just imagine Joe Biden falling asleep on the debate stage? Donald Trump name calling people on the debate stage? Cornel West with his great orator skills, great skills as an orator, and his credit where credit is due. He's got a profound level of love as a revolutionary Christian, to where he's going to reach out to Trump and be like, listen, Trump, I don't agree with nothing you're saying, but I love you too, brother. And that revolutionary level of love, let the American people see that. I would love to see Cornel West on a debate stage with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I'm forgetting about that Trump. Hold on. What is needed on the debate stage of the presidential election? To participate, each candidate must first satisfy fundraising and polling criteria set by the Republican National Financial League, blah, 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 blah. It's Republican, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to see the general election. I think this is a Commission on Presidential Debates. Okay, Mike. I see you asked the question. Let me get this just for the record, then I'll come back to your question. Hold on. How's the CPD selected candidates? addition candidates for federal office and all history teachers. Okay, here it is. Let me show this just for the record. Then I'll get to. I see you leaving something in the chat. I'll get to you in 1 minute, bro. I appreciate you rocking with me for real. You keep this keep me interested in this conversation. Do me a favor, be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. All right, hopefully y'all can see this. This is coming from. Let me see. This is coming from the Commission on Presidential Debates. Okay. All right, this paragraph is what we're looking for in particular. Federal Election Commission (FEC) regulations require a debate sponsor to make its candidate selection decisions on the basis of pre-established objective criteria. So this is on October 1st, 2019. The selection criteria. Under the 2020 criteria, to receive an invitation to debate, a candidate must 1. Constitutionally eligible to hold the office of president. So you have to be constitutionally eligible. Check. 2. Appear on a sufficient number of state ballots to have a mathematical chance of winning a majority vote in the Electoral College. So you have to have a chance of winning, meaning you have to be present on a number of state ballots. I believe Cornel West is running under the Green Party, which does at this time, or which has had enough state ballots under the Green Party. The reason he switched to the Green Party was because at first he was, I forget what party he was running under, I forget what it was called, but he was running under a different party name, but they didn't have sufficient state ballot access. So he had to switch to the Green Party to have an eligible chance. And right now we're just looking at 15%. If he makes 15%, he's won. We do not need Cornel West to win the presidential nominee in the general election. This is unrealistic, and it's unrealistic. It would be nice, but it's just unrealistic. But if he gets 15% of the vote, if he gets an invitation to the general election debates, he has won. He has won, and we have won. Let me move on with these requirements before I get to your questions, bro. Appear on a sufficient number of state ballots. Number 3, have a level of support of at least 15% of the national electorate. Have a level of support of at least 15% of the national electorate as determined by 5 national public opinion polling organizations, using the average of those polls organizations. Most recently publicly reported results at the time of the determination. Okay, so let's see. Number 1, constitutionally eligible. Check. He fulfills that requirement. Appear on a sufficient number of ballots. Check. He switched to the Green Party, so now he has access to a sufficient number of state ballots. And this is the third requirement, which is the most important. That's why I keep emphasizing the fact that he needs 15% of the national electorate. That's the third requirement that we're looking at. All right, now let me get to your questions now, bro. I needed to get that on the record. All right, so shout out Mike. Mike says, what would you ask for now? How to make cash payment reparations happen with competing priorities such as Medicare for all? That's a good question. How to make cash payment reparations? Hold on a second. How to make cash payment reparations for ADOS happen with competing priorities such as Medicare for all, etc. How to make, one more time. How to make cash payment reparations for ADOS happen with competing priorities such as Medicare for all. Would you ask West about implementing cash payment reparations within 20 days? 20 days, that would be nice. I don't know if he has that. I don't know if he has that authority. You see, the way it's broken down, the separations of powers, it's Congress, the legislative branch, not the executive branch, that has the powers over the purse. So the powers over the budget comes from the legislative branch. That's the House and the Senate. That's not the executive branch. So I don't know if the president would have the authority at the federal level to grant reparations unilaterally. I don't know if he has that authority. Would you ask Wes about implementing cash payments to say within 20 days? Now he does have authority to direct his members of Congress. So he could set the agenda, the legislative agenda, and his vice president. So they do have pull as far as directing the legislative branch, but I don't know if Cornel West would have the ability to implement cash payment reparations within 20 days. I don't know if he has that authority. Last question. In addition to supporting Cornel West's position on cash payment reparations, do you support his position on Medicare for all? Yes, absolutely. Tuition, debt-free public higher education, and jobs training. Absolutely. Absolutely. That reminds me of a book. I might have left it with my lady. There's a book that I would recommend you check out. Martin Luther King's book. Where do we go from here? It's an outstanding book. I would recommend that book to anyone. Where do we go from here? It's beautiful book. He touches on A. Philip Randolph's plan. A. Philip Randolph has a plan for what was it called? It's been a while since I read that book. A. Philip Randolph's plan was for the poor man's campaign. And the poor man's campaign, he touches on the need for reparations first. That's not A. Phillips Randolph's plan, but that's Martin Luther King speaking on reparations. He does touch on that, but he also champions A. Phillips Randolph's plan as far as the need for Medicare for all. What's the last thing he said? Job training. Forget job training. I believe I'll take job training and take it one step further. Forget the training. We need jobs for all. I believe there's enough work. Do you understand? I don't know how much traveling you've done in this country. This country is falling apart. If you understand the infrastructure of this country, the roads, the bridges, the dams, the waterworks, the infrastructure of this country is falling apart. There's no reason for anybody not to have a job at this point. I believe there should be mandatory training and mandatory jobs. I'm talking about a jobs for all program. They have Medicare for all program. I support that 100%. But I would take jobs training program and take it one step further. A jobs for all program. If you do not have a job, if you don't have any skills, you come here, we'll train you. Let's say it's a 2-year training, you get paid training. At the end of your 2-year paid training, you can work in whatever field you choose. You have a guaranteed job. You can work in tech, you can work in engineering, you can work in, there's so many necessary and needed industries right now. The government could say, okay, we'll give you 2 years paid training. At the end of your training, you have a mandatory job, but you have mandatory 2 or 3 years that you have to work for us so that we can recoup our investment. Too easy. And it would be hard. It would be hard for someone to fight against that type of. That's right, the People's Party. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, he was running on the People's Party, and he had to switch that because he didn't have the ballot access, so he had to go to the Green Party. But now that he's part of the Green Party, which does have state ballot access, and now that of course he's eligible to run for president because he's old enough, he was born as an American, he's an American citizen, so he's eligible to run. The third criteria is, as of 2020, there's only 3 criteria to make him eligible to be on the debate stage in the general election. The third criteria is he needs 15% polling for the American people. And that's what, if he gets that, I'm telling you, Mike, I'm telling you, I see a couple people in here. If you're in here, salute. I appreciate y'all listening. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. But Mike, if he gets that 15% and you see Cornel West as a third party candidate rocking on the general election debate stage, that's a win. That's a win. You've won. Things in politics, especially in this country, they're slow. It's incremental. You have to understand that. So you can't. As much as I would want not Donald Trump, but Cornel West to just knock it out of the park, one hit, one shot, one kill, and win the presidency. Just being realistic, there's too many jobs. There's too many people in this country who are beholden and who are locked into that mind frame of we're a two-party system. But if you were to have a legitimate candidate like Cornel West get 15% and end up on the general election debate stage, that would open the minds of the people to realize right now we're a two-party system, but we don't have to be. Cornel West is on the debate stage. We have a third party that's getting 15%. Not only that, but at what stage, whatever stage he decides to drop out, if he's rocking with 15% polling, he can endorse either side. He can say, okay, I'm going to endorse Joe Biden, but this comes with concessions that Joe Biden has to make, or vice versa. Hey, I don't really like Trump, but Trump has agreed that he's going to make these concessions. He's going to get us out of the war in Ukraine. He's going to push reparations. He has a plan for reparations. He's going to secure Medicare for all. Whatever concessions that Cornel West deems most important, he's able to require that in exchange for his 15% who are supporting him enough to get him to the general election debate stage. There's a lot of power in that third party, and first of all, in abstaining from voting. There's a lot of power in that the Republicans and the Democrats especially, don't want people to realize. There's a lot more power in abstaining than there is in voting for the Democrats. I'm just going to say that off top. People don't want us to realize how much power there is in abstaining, and even better than abstaining is voting third party. Do you support his position on Medicare for all? Yes, Medicare for all. I think I made a video. You can check out my channel. I'm pretty sure I've made multiple videos on the need for Medicare for all. You know, I almost died last year. We're in 2023, right? I almost died last year. I had kidney failure. I got kidney failure. Now, praise God, I had pretty good health insurance through my job. But even with that, I ended up having to pay like $7,000. Having to pay $7,000 in medical bills. Now imagine if I didn't have health care. You know, yes, I'm 100%. As someone, my brother died last month. He had sickle cell. I know a lot about the medical field and the need. My sister's a doctor. Like I'm intimately familiar with the medical field. I'm 100% an advocate of Medicare for all. If I haven't made enough videos on that, I need to make some more. I'm glad you brought that up. Debt-free public higher education, for sure. For sure. It should be a crime. Matter of fact, that's another video I need to make. Do you understand how many people are in debt because they dropped out of school? People only want to talk about the folks who went and graduated college and graduated with all these student loan debts. But what's worse than graduating with a lot of student loan debt is you tried to do something. You tried to better yourself, but you had to drop out of school, not because you failed, but because you didn't have enough money. You started school, you wanted to better yourself, you ran out of money, you had to drop out, and now you have neither the degree nor the money that you started off with. Now you're in debt. So you went to school to do something to better yourself, and you end up dropping out due to money, and you end up in a worse position than when you started. And all of that could have been avoided if the school was affordable. You would have been a doctor or a lawyer. You would have been someone who can contribute to society, but instead you're in debt with no degree and no way to pay that money back. You're gambling. So I got some problems with my back. You see me adjusting, but there's so many things I need to make videos about. Like this is I'm glad you're here, bro. I'm glad you're here because all of these things need to be talked about. All of these things are important topics that they're so deep that they deserve their own video in and of itself. In and of itself, these things deserve their own video. All right, I think I answered your questions. Job training, Medicare for all. Yeah, you never know what things can happen for when. You're right though. You're right about that. You never know what could happen with the presidential election. I mean, you really don't, especially when everybody's in there, pushing 80s, pushing 80. You got Mitch McConnell having a stroke on national television. The man had a stroke on national television. Do you hear what I'm saying? The man had a stroke on national television. He's pushing 80 years old. They don't care. The family members of these politicians, they don't care about them. I can only imagine if my dad was pushing 80, my granddad was pushing 80, and he's got one of the most stressful jobs in the country, let alone the world, and the man having a stroke on national television, and you don't care? Joe Biden, he's demented. My man cannot stand up and walk. My man, how many times has this man walked off the stage in the middle of conversation? He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know where he is. He's sleeping in meetings with international presidents and heads of state. These people are one hard cough away from kicking the bucket. These people are one hard cough away from kicking the bucket. You do not know. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. You don't know what could happen. Cornel West looks like he's in good shape. He enters the race. Something bad could happen to Joe Biden in the middle of the race. Kamala Harris, her numbers are tanking. She wouldn't win. If you want an alternative to Donald Trump, you could be left with, and Donald Trump could be in prison next year. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You never know what could happen. I wouldn't count on that. I'm not a gambler. I don't like to gamble. But if I was a gambler, I wouldn't bet on that happening. But but the possibilities are endless. The possibilities are endless. But listen, man, that's going to be it for today. I appreciate everybody rocking with me. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. If you made this far in the video, if you're new to the channel, be sure to smash the subscribe button. I drop a video just about every single day. I'm going to do more of these lives. I'm liking this new format. It gives y'all a chance to interact with me. Y'all keep the conversation with me going. So I want to salute y'all. Mike, especially, you've been the man today. You really kept this video interesting for me. So I appreciate y'all getting interactive with me. I'm going to do more live so y'all can ask your questions and we can turn this into more of a conversational format. Because the things I talk about, I feel like they are deserving of a conversational format. I try to make the videos, but it's controversial enough. I want to hear your opinions. So shout out to y'all, salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. That's going to be it for today. Be sure to come on back tomorrow. All right? Peace.